Ethan Carter always woke up early on the desert planet called Iridia. The sun was not as bright as Earth's, but it made the endless sand shine like gold every morning. Ethan had lived on Iridia for 4 years now. He was not a hero or a soldier. He was just a salvager. His only real friend was his dog Toby, who followed him everywhere. Toby was old, with gray fur, but his eyes were sharp and bright. Ethan liked the quiet life. He walked the dunes, looking for old metal, broken machines, or anything valuable that others had left behind. The work was lonely, but Ethan liked it that way. One day, after a hard windstorm, Ethan decided to walk further out than usual. The sand was full of strange shapes after the storm, like waves frozen in time. He hoped. The wind had uncovered something good. As he walked, his boots sinking into the soft ground, he used his scanner to look for metal. The scanner beeped now and then, but the readings were always small. Cans, wires, and once an old helmet, nothing worth much. But after hours under the sun, the scanner made a long, steady beep. Ethan stopped. Toby barked once, as if he could tell something was different. Ethan knelt and brushed the sand away. His fingers felt cold metal under the warm sand. He dug quickly, his heart beating faster. The shape was bigger than he first thought. After a few minutes, Ethan uncovered the top of a large metal crate. It was old, covered in strange symbols. The metal was scratched and dented. There was no lock, just a strange round seal in the middle. The crate looked like it had been here for a very long time. Ethan sat back on his heels and looked at it. He thought about the stories people told in the little trading post where he sold his scraps. People spoke of dangerous things in the sand-old bombs, lost robots, even things that could kill you just by looking at them. But there were also stories about great treasures, technology that could make you rich forever. Ethan never believed the wild stories, but looking at the crate now, he felt unsure. Toby sniffed the crate and whimpered. Ethan put his hand on the old dog's head. "It's okay, boy," he said softly. "Just a box. Maybe we finally got lucky." But he could not shake the feeling that something was strange. Ethan brushed more sand away from the crate. He found more symbols and marks. Some looked like warning signs. He remembered a bit of old galactic script he had learned from a friend. One symbol meant danger, he thought. Another looked like keep out. Ethan frowned. He had to decide what to do. He could try to open the crate now or drag it back to his truck and open it in his workshop. It was heavy and he was tired. He pulled out his small toolkit and studied the seal. It was round, with lines that looked almost like a clock. He pressed his hand against it, and it was cold, colder than the sand. As he touched it, a light flickered in the middle, a small blue glow. Ethan's heart jumped. Maybe the crate still had power. He knew some old crates would blow up if opened the wrong way, but this one just sat quietly. Ethan looked around. There was nothing but sand, the wind, and the low hum of his scanner. He tried to calm himself. He was about to press the seal and see if it would open, when he heard something that made his blood run cold. There was a voice. It was soft at first, like a whisper. Ethan froze, his hand still on the crate. He listened hard, thinking it was the wind, but then he heard it again, clearer this time. "Please, don't open it. Please help me." The voice sounded weak and afraid. Ethan's mouth went dry. He pulled his hand back quickly and looked around. No one was there. The voice came from inside the crate. Toby growled and stepped back. Ethan stared at the crate, not sure what to do. He spoke out loud, his voice shaking. "Hello? Who's in there?" There was a long pause. Then the voice spoke again. It was a little stronger now, but still afraid. "Don't open the crate. Please, it's not safe. Please help me." Ethan's mind raced. Was someone really inside? How could that be? The crate looked sealed tight, and he had not seen any holes. Or air vents. Was it a recording? A trick? He remembered stories of old machines that could make voices, but this sounded too real, too desperate. He got up and walked around the crate, looking for a speaker or a camera, but saw nothing. The crate was just metal and dust. Toby sniffed the air, his ears flat. Ethan felt torn. If someone was inside, they might be hurt or dying. If it was a trick, he could be in danger. He thought about calling for help, but the nearest station was 2 days away. He was alone with a talking box in the middle of nowhere. He sat down in the sand and tried to think. The sun was lower now, painting the sky orange. Ethan felt tired, but he could not leave. He spoke again. "Who are you? How did you get in there?" The voice was quiet for a while. Then it said, "My name is Riley. Please, Ethan, don't open the crate. I'm begging you. It's dangerous." Ethan jumped. The voice knew his name. He felt a cold chill run through him. "How do you know me?" he asked. There was a soft, sad sound, almost like a sigh. I can hear you out there." "I'm not trying to scare you. I just don't want anyone to get hurt." Ethan wanted answers, but Riley's voice was fading again. "I need water," the voice said softly. Ethan shook his head. "How can I help you?" "If I don't open the crate, I can't give you water." "Are you human? Are you a machine?" No answer, only silence. Ethan waited, hoping for another sign, but the crate was quiet again. The wind picked up, blowing sand across his boots. Toby lay down, head on his paws, watching the crate with worried eyes. Ethan decided to set up camp next to the crate. He built a small fire and cooked a simple meal for himself and Toby. He watched the crate as the stars came out, wondering who or what was inside. The night was cold and silent. Ethan did not sleep well. He kept waking up, listening for Riley's voice, but heard nothing. Only the wind and the soft sound of Toby's breathing. As the sky began to lighten, Ethan knew he could not leave. Someone needed his help, even if it was strange and scary. He promised himself that he would not open the crate until he knew more. He hoped he was making the right choice. In the morning, Ethan tried to speak to Riley again, but there was only silence. He made breakfast and thought about what to do next. He knew other salvagers might find the crate if he left it out here. He had to decide if he would try to move it or stay and guard it. He thought about the warning signs and Riley's frightened voice. Ethan sat on the sand, the crate in front of him, Toby by his side, and waited for something to happen. He knew his life had changed. The quiet days of searching the dunes were over. Now he had a mystery to solve, a secret buried in the sand, and a voice that haunted his thoughts. Ethan promised himself he would not give up until he found the truth. The desert was silent, but Ethan knew he was not alone anymore. Ethan stayed by the crate for most of the day, thinking about what to do next. He was not sure if Riley was really a person, a machine, or something else. He wanted to believe someone was inside and needed his help, but he could not stop thinking about the warning on the crate and Riley's frightened voice. The desert sun grew hotter, and the wind blew sand against his face. Toby lay in the shade, watching Ethan with tired eyes. After a long silence, the crate made a soft humming sound. Ethan looked up quickly. He walked closer and spoke gently, hoping Riley could hear him. "Riley, can you hear me? Are you still there?" There was only a low hum at first. Then after a few seconds, the voice answered. Riley sounded weak and tired, as if speaking took a lot of effort. "I am here, Ethan. Thank you for not opening the crate." Ethan knelt down next to the crate. "Are you hurt? Are you running out of air? You said you need water. Please tell me how to help you." The voice paused. "It is not that simple. The crate is not just a box. There are things inside that must stay locked away. If you open it, something bad might happen. I know you want to help, but you have to trust me." Ethan frowned. "How can I trust you when I don't know what you are? Are you a person? Why are you in there?" Riley was quiet for a long time. I was human once. Now I'm something different. I made a choice a long time ago to stay inside this crate, to keep something very dangerous away from the world." Ethan tried to understand. "Are you a prisoner? Did someone put you in there?" Riley's voice sounded sad. "No, I locked myself inside. It was the only way. The weapon inside the crate must not be used again. Please, Ethan, you must not open it for anyone." Ethan felt sorry for Riley, but also worried. "If it is so dangerous, why do I hear your voice?" "How do you know my name?" Riley tried to explain. "The crate can listen. It can sense things outside. I have learned how to use the systems to talk to people, but I do not get the chance very often." You are the first person to find me in? Many years, Ethan sat back in the sand. He remembered the stories about lost weapons and broken worlds. He knew that war had ended long ago, but the scars could still be found in places like Iridia. He started to believe Riley's words, but it was hard to be sure. As the sun began to set, Ethan saw dust clouds far away on the horizon. He pulled out his old binoculars and looked. He saw two small vehicles moving fast toward him. That was strange. He had not seen another person for days. Toby started barking. Ethan stood up and packed his things quickly. He looked at the crate and whispered, "Someone is coming, Riley. What should I do?" Riley's voice was urgent now. "Do not let them open the crate. Please, Ethan, promise me." Ethan nodded, though he knew Riley could not see him. "I promise. I'll try." The vehicles came closer. Ethan saw that one was an old buggy and the other was a heavy hauler used for moving big things. As they stopped near the crate, a woman jumped out of the buggy. She had short brown hair and wore dirty work clothes. She smiled at Ethan, but her eyes were sharp. Her name was Maria Lopez, another salvager who sometimes traded in the same town as Ethan. "Hey, Ethan," Maria called, walking toward him. "What have you got there?" "My scanner picked up something big. Figured I'd see what it was." Ethan tried to sound casual. "Just an old crate. Not sure what's inside." Maria's partner, a tall man named Frank, walked around the crate, tapping the metal. He whistled. "Looks heavy. Maybe there's tech inside." "You planning to open it?" Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. There are warning signs all over it." Maria leaned in and studied the strange markings. She grinned. "Danger signs are good. Means it's something important. We could be rich." Ethan stood between Maria and the crate. "We should be careful." "I heard something inside." Maria looked at him, surprised. "Heard something? Like what?" Ethan hesitated. He did not want to tell Maria about Riley, but he also did not want her to get hurt. "I heard a voice. Someone or something inside told me not to open the crate." Frank laughed. "A talking box? Maybe you're just tired, Ethan." Maria's smile faded. She looked more serious now. "Let's open it together. If there's someone inside, we can help them. If not, maybe it's just a recording. Either way, we check." Ethan tried to block her. "No, Maria, it's not safe." The voice said it's dangerous. Maria put her hands on her hips. "Come on, Ethan. Don't be scared. We're salvagers. We find things, we open them, we sell what's inside." The air felt heavy. The sun dropped lower, turning the sky red and gold. Ethan felt sweat on his neck. Toby barked and stood next to him. Maria looked at her partner. "Frank, get the cutter." Frank went to the hauler and pulled out a large tool with a glowing blade. Maria turned back to Ethan. "Step aside. If you don't want to help, just watch." Ethan stood firm. "Please, Maria, listen. If you open it, something bad might happen." Maria rolled her eyes. "You always worry too much. I'll take the risk." Frank started the cutter and sparks flew as he pressed it against the seal. Ethan's heart pounded. He looked at the crate, hoping Riley would speak again. Suddenly the ground shook. A deep rumbling noise came from below. Frank stopped and stepped back. Maria looked around, startled. "What was that?" she asked. Ethan felt the sand move under his feet. Toby barked wildly. Then, small lights appeared in the sand all around them, moving like fireflies. Maria and Frank stared at the lights in confusion. Riley's voice came out of the crate louder than before. "Do not open it!" "Please stop!" Frank dropped the cutter, his hands shaking. Maria stepped away from the crate. The lights grew brighter, and strange shapes rose from the sand. Ethan saw old machines like small flying drones coming to life. Their eyes glowed red. Maria cursed and reached for her gun, but the drones flew too fast. One zapped her weapon, making her drop it. Frank tried to run back to the hauler, but a drone blocked his path. Ethan pulled Toby close and yelled, "Get down!" as a drone zipped past his head. He covered his face, feeling the hot wind from the machines. The drone circled the crate, making a wall of light. Ethan could hear Riley's voice in his mind, calm but strong. "I told you not to open it. The crate will defend itself." Maria screamed, "Turn them off! Make them stop!" Ethan yelled back, "I can't. Riley, help us." The drones buzzed louder but then stopped moving. They hung in the air, blinking slowly. Riley spoke again, softer now. "Ethan, listen to me. There is a code you can use. Say the words peaceful hands." Ethan stood up and shouted, "Peaceful hands?" The drones froze, then slowly dropped to the sand. The lights faded, the silence felt heavy. Maria was shaking. Frank was still on the ground, too scared to move. Ethan looked at the crate. Riley's voice came out, tired but grateful. "Thank you, Ethan. You did the right thing. Please keep your promise. Do not let anyone open the crate." Ethan nodded. He turned to Maria and Frank. "You see now? This is not a normal crate. We have to leave it alone." Maria got up, dusted off her hands, and looked at Ethan with new respect. "All right, Ethan, I won't touch it. But what are you going to do now?" Ethan looked at the crate and then at the empty desert around him. He knew he could not leave, not yet. Riley needed him. And maybe deep inside he wanted to know more about the voice in the crate and the secret it was hiding. The night grew cold. Ethan, Toby, and the others sat by the small fire, watching the crate. No one tried to open it again. The stars shone above, and Ethan listened for Riley's voice, wondering what would happen next. Ethan stayed awake late into the night, thinking about everything that had happened. Maria and Frank slept by the fire, their faces tense even in sleep. Toby curled up beside Ethan, warm and steady. The drones were gone now, buried again under the sand, but Ethan could not forget how quickly they had appeared and how dangerous they had looked. The crate sat silent and cold, just as before, but Ethan knew now it was not just a box. It was a prison, or maybe a shield, keeping something hidden from the world. The stars were bright, and the wind was soft, but Ethan felt the weight of the night. He wanted to talk to Riley, but the voice had been quiet for hours. He wondered if Riley was asleep, or if using the crate's power had made her too tired to talk. Ethan remembered how Riley's voice had sounded so sad and lonely, and he felt a little sad too. In the morning, Ethan woke to the smell of strong coffee. Maria was up pouring coffee into old tin cups. Frank looked rough, his hair sticking up, his face pale from the night before. "Morning," Maria said. She handed Ethan a cup. "So, what now?" Ethan took a sip and looked at the crate. "I don't know," he said honestly. "I want to help Riley, but I promised not to open it." Maria frowned. "Who's Riley again?" "That voice in the crate?" Ethan nodded. He wondered if Maria believed everything that had happened. Maybe she thought it was just a machine, or maybe a ghost. Frank kept looking at the crate, his eyes full of fear. Maria finished her coffee and stood up. "I'm going to check the hauler. Make sure those drones didn't mess with the engine." She walked away, leaving Ethan and Frank by the fire. Frank spoke quietly. "Ethan, you think whatever's in that box could hurt us? I don't want to die out here." Ethan shook his head. "If we leave the crate alone, I think we'll be safe. Riley warned us. I believe her." Frank nodded, looking a little less scared. Later that day, Ethan tried talking to Riley again. He sat near the crate and spoke in a soft voice. "Riley, are you there?" After a while, the crate buzzed and Riley's voice answered, weak but clearer than before. "I'm here, Ethan. Thank you for stopping them. The crate has many defenses, but I don't want anyone to get hurt." Ethan was relieved to hear her voice. "Are you all right? You sounded tired." Riley paused before answering. "It takes a lot of energy to control the systems. I do not like using them, but sometimes I must. I am sorry if I scared your friends." Ethan looked back at Maria and Frank, who were working on their vehicles. They won't try again. But Maria wants to know what's really inside. So do I. Riley was quiet for a moment. "You have a right to know some of the truth. I will tell you as much as I can." Ethan listened closely as Riley began to tell her story. She spoke slowly, her words full of sadness. "Long ago, before you were born, there was a war across many worlds. People built weapons that could destroy cities, even planets. I was a scientist. My job was to build and study these weapons. One day, I helped create something so powerful and terrible that I was afraid it would end everything. I tried to stop it, but it was too late. The weapon was made. Many people wanted to use it, but I could not let that happen. Ethan felt cold as he listened. So you locked yourself in the crate with the weapon? Yes, Riley said. I used the last of my power to build this prison. I put the weapon inside and sealed myself in with it. The crate's defenses keep it safe, but I am also its prisoner. I do not know how many years have passed, but I have stayed here, hoping no one would ever open it. Ethan thought for a long time before speaking. Are you human? Riley's voice was quiet. My body changed over the years. The crate kept me alive, but now I am part of its systems. My mind is still here, but I cannot leave. Ethan felt sad for Riley. Do you want to be free? Riley sounded even sadder. I do not know. If I leave, the weapon could be used. If I stay, I am alone forever, but maybe it is better this way. Ethan looked at the sand, thinking about Riley's loneliness. I'll stay with you as long as I can. You're not alone now. Riley's voice was soft. Thank you, Ethan. That means more to me than you know. As the sun set, Maria returned to camp. She had checked the hauler and buggy. Everything still works, she said. She looked at Ethan and then at the crate. We're leaving tomorrow morning. Frank's scared, and I don't like this place anymore. Ethan nodded. I'll stay a while longer. Maria shrugged. Suit yourself. Just be careful. I don't think anyone will believe us if we tell them about talking crates and flying drones, but I'll tell people to stay away. Frank did not argue. He only wanted to leave. That night, Ethan sat by the crate with Toby, staring at the stars. He wondered how long Riley had been alone here. He wondered how it must feel to be trapped for so many years, unable to move, always afraid someone would open the crate and bring disaster. Before she left, Maria gave Ethan a small radio. If you need help, call me. I might not believe everything, but you saved our lives, Ethan thanked her. He watched as Maria and Frank packed up and drove away across the sand, the engines making lonely sounds in the night. Now it was just Ethan, Toby, and the crate. Days passed slowly. Ethan talked to Riley whenever she was awake. He asked about the war, about the worlds she had seen, and about her life before she became the guardian of the weapon. Riley told him. Stories about strange cities, blue forests, and flying ships that filled the sky. Her memories were like dreams, sometimes happy, sometimes full of regret. Ethan brought food and water from his truck and shared with Toby. He watched the sky for other salvagers, worried someone else might find the crate and try to open it. He spent his nights listening to Riley's stories and thinking about how to help her. One afternoon, a strange thing happened. The air grew cold and the wind stopped. Ethan saw a shadow moving in the distance. He climbed a small dune and saw a group of people walking toward him. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons. Ethan's heart sank. He knew these were not just salvagers. They looked like hunters or soldiers. He hurried back to the crate and called for Riley. Riley, people are coming. They looked dangerous. Riley's voice was urgent. You must not let them near the crate. They may know what is inside. Ethan hid behind his truck with Toby and waited. The group arrived and spread out, searching the area. One of them, a woman with a scar on her cheek, walked up to the crate and touched the metal. She turned and shouted, We found it. The others gathered around the crate. They set up scanners and machines. Ethan watched, feeling helpless. He wanted to protect Riley, but there were too many of them. The woman with the scar spoke into a radio. This is Commander Lane. We have the crate. Begin extraction. Ethan thought quickly. He knew he could not fight them, but maybe he could delay them. He stepped out from behind his truck and called out, You shouldn't touch that crate. It's dangerous. Commander Lane looked at Ethan, surprised. Who are you? Ethan tried to sound brave. My name is Ethan. I'm just a salvager, but that crate isn't normal. There's something inside that can hurt everyone. Lane laughed. We know what's inside, boy. That's why we're here. We're taking it back. Move aside. Ethan did not move. Please, you don't understand. There's a person in there. She doesn't want anyone to open it. Lane's eyes narrowed. A person? Don't be stupid. There's a weapon in there. That's all that matters. Ethan felt anger rise in his chest. You'll get people killed if you open it. Lane ignored him and gave orders to her team. They started setting up a big machine to lift the crate. Riley's voice came into Ethan's ear, only he could hear. Ethan, I'm scared. They want the weapon. You must find a way to stop them, Ethan whispered. I'll try, Riley, I promise. He watched as Lane's team worked on the crate, feeling powerless. He needed a plan, and he needed one fast. The safety of Riley and maybe everyone on Iridian now rested on his shoulders. As the sun sank and shadows grew longer, Ethan stood alone, determined to protect the secret buried in the sand, even if it meant risking his own life. Ethan watched the soldiers work around the crate. They did not look friendly or kind. They had strong arms and hard faces. Commander Lane walked from one side of the crate to the other, giving orders and checking the machines. Some soldiers set up a small wall around the area, pointing their guns at the open desert. Others tried to attach a lifting device to the crate. The machine beeped and clicked, but the crate did not move. Lane grew angry and shouted at her team. Toby stayed close to Ethan, his fur standing up along his back. Ethan felt scared, but he did not want to run. He promised Riley he would try to help. He stood far enough away to watch, but close enough to act if he found a chance. He could hear the soldiers talking. One soldier said, "Ma'am, this crate is locked tighter than anything I've seen." "The clamps won't budge," another replied. "Do we blast it open?" Lane shook her head. "Not yet. That could destroy what's inside. The scientists back at base want it in one piece." Ethan's mind worked fast. He thought about the drones and how Riley had stopped them with a code. Maybe Riley could help again. He walked closer to the crate and spoke softly, hoping Lane and her team would not hear him. "Riley, can you hear me? They're trying to take you." There was a long pause. Then Riley's voice came into Ethan's mind, tired but clear. "I hear you, Ethan. The crate is strong, but if they bring more machines, they might break through. I don't want anyone to get hurt. Please be careful." Ethan thought hard. He knew Lane and her soldiers would not listen to him. They only cared about what was inside the crate. He had to find another way. Maybe if he distracted them, Riley could use the drones again. Or maybe he could make the soldiers afraid so they would leave. Ethan saw one of the soldiers leave the wall and walk toward the vehicles. He quietly followed. The soldier bent down to check something on the truck. Ethan picked up a small rock and tossed it at the sand a little distance away. The soldier turned, gun ready, and walked to where the rock had landed. While the soldier was distracted, Ethan slipped behind the truck and turned on Maria's old radio. He spoke into it quietly, hoping she was still close enough to hear. "Maria, this is Ethan. There are soldiers here. They're trying to take the crate. I need help." He did not wait for an answer, just put the radio down and hurried back to his hiding spot. He looked over the wall of supplies the soldiers had set up and saw Lane yelling at another soldier. Ethan called out loudly, "If you open that crate, everyone here will be in danger." Lane turned, eyes sharp. "You again?" "I told you to stay back." "This isn't your business." Ethan stepped closer. "There's someone inside the crate. You can't just take it." "She's trying to protect us all," Lane laughed. "You're just a kid with too much imagination. This is military work. Leave before you get hurt." One of the soldiers aimed his gun at Ethan. Toby barked, stepping in front of his owner. Ethan did not move. He looked at Lane and tried again. "You don't understand. The crate has defenses. If you push too hard, it will fight back." Lane did not listen. She nodded to her team. "Start the cutting tool. Get that crate open." Ethan's heart pounded. He looked at the crate and whispered, "Riley, if you can hear me, please do something. Don't let them open it." As the soldiers brought out the big cutter, the air changed. A low hum started in the sand. The soldiers looked around, confused. The ground shook a little. The cutter's blade glowed red, ready to burn through metal. But just as the soldier touched it to the crate, the tool sparked and died. The soldier jumped back, shaking his hand. Lane shouted, "Try again! Don't let some old junk stop you." Another soldier tried, but this time the cutter burst into blue sparks and fell apart in his hands. Lane grew angrier. "What is happening? Someone is messing with us?" Suddenly, the sand around the crate began to glow. The drones rose up from the ground again, more of them than before. They moved fast, flying in a circle around the crate. Their red eyes blinked and they made a loud buzzing noise. The soldiers shouted and aimed their guns, but the drones zipped past too quickly to shoot. Lane tried to keep her team together. Hold your fire. Don't shoot unless they attack. The drones did not attack. Instead, they formed a spinning wall of light around the crate, blocking anyone from getting close. Lane cursed and called for backup on her radio. Ethan stood at the edge of the circle. He called out, "Riley, can you hear me?" Riley's voice spoke inside his head. "I am using all my strength to keep them away. I can't hold them forever." "Ethan, please, you must make them stop." Ethan shouted to Lane, "You have to leave. The crate won't let you take it. You'll only get hurt." Lane glared at him. "No one tells me what to do. If we can't take it, we'll destroy it." She gave the order. Two soldiers ran back to the vehicles and brought out heavy weapons. They pointed them at the crate. Ethan felt panic rise in his chest. "Wait," he cried. "You'll kill everyone if you do that." "The weapon inside is too dangerous." Lane ignored him. "Fire!" The soldiers shot their heavy guns at the crate, but as soon as the bullets hit the spinning drones, they bounced away with a shower of sparks. The drones buzzed louder, moving closer to the soldiers. One soldier tried to run, but a drone knocked him down and zapped his gun. Lane's team panicked. Some dropped their weapons and ran for the vehicles. Others fired at the drones, but nothing worked. Lane stood her ground, angry and wild. She pointed her gun at Ethan. "Turn them off," she yelled, "or I'll shoot." Ethan held up his hands, trying to look calm. "I can't. You have to stop attacking. Just walk away." Lane looked around, saw her team falling back, and finally seemed to understand that she could not win. She lowered her gun, breathing hard. "What is inside that crate? What are you protecting?" Ethan looked at the spinning drones, then at Lane. "I promised Riley I wouldn't let anyone open it. She's a person, or she was once. She's guarding something that could destroy us all." Lane looked uncertain. "A person? In a box for years? Why?" Ethan explained quickly. "She built a weapon during a war. She locked herself in the crate to keep it from hurting anyone. The crate keeps her alive and stops anyone from opening it. If you keep attacking, something worse could happen." Lane stared at Ethan, then at the crate. The drones still buzzed, but not as loudly now. At that moment, Ethan heard a voice on Maria's old radio. "Ethan, are you there?" "I'm close. I see the dust from your camp." It was Maria. Ethan grabbed the radio and whispered, "Maria, hurry. The soldiers tried to open the crate. The drones are out. It's not safe." Maria's voice came back, strong. "I'll be there in 5 minutes." "Hold on." Lane saw Ethan talking to the radio. "Who are you calling?" "My friend," Ethan said. "She knows what happened here. She can help you understand." Lane did not look happy, but she lowered her gun. Soon, Maria arrived in her buggy, skidding to a stop near the edge of the camp. She jumped out, gun ready, and stared at the scene. "What did you do, Ethan?" Ethan shook his head. "It wasn't me." "The crate's defenses are real. Tell Lane what you saw before." "She won't listen to me." Maria faced Lane. "He's telling the truth. If you try to open that crate, it'll kill you. The thing inside is worse than you can imagine. You need to go." Lane looked at her, then at the drones, then at the crate. Her face softened just a little. "Maybe you're right. Maybe this is bigger than us." She called to her team, "Fall back, we're leaving." The soldiers packed their things and drove away, engines roaring. Lane looked back at Ethan one last time. "You're braver than you look, kid. Take care of that crate." As the camp grew quiet again, the drones sank back into the sand. Ethan dropped to his knees, feeling tired but glad. He turned to the crate. "Riley, it's over. They're gone." Riley's voice was soft. "Thank you, Ethan. I was afraid for you. You did what no one else could." Ethan smiled, feeling relief and pride. He knew the danger was not over, but he had kept his promise. He would stay by Riley's side, guarding her secret for as long as he could. Ethan woke early the next morning. The desert was quiet and cool. The sky was a soft blue, and the air was still. For a few moments, everything felt calm. Toby slept by his side, but his ears twitched and his nose moved, sniffing the air. The crate was there as always, big and silent, half buried in the sand. Ethan sat up and stretched his tired arms. He felt the weight of the last days pressing on his mind, but he also felt a kind of peace. The soldiers were gone. For now, the crate was safe. Maria was still in camp, sitting on the hood of her buggy, looking out at the endless sand. She had stayed to help, even though she could have left with Lane and her team. When Ethan walked over, Maria handed him a warm mug of coffee. "You did good, Ethan," she said. "You saved a lot of people, maybe even the whole planet." Ethan smiled a little, but his heart felt heavy. "I don't know if I did the right thing. Riley is still stuck in there. She's alone." Maria nodded and looked at the crate. "Some choices are hard. Sometimes there isn't a good answer." They sat in silence for a while, drinking their coffee. The sun slowly rose higher in the sky. The heat of the day would come soon. After breakfast, Ethan walked to the crate and put his hand on the cold metal. He spoke softly so only Riley could hear. "Riley, are you there?" After a moment, her voice came back, soft and tired but gentle. "I'm here, Ethan." Ethan sat down next to the crate. Toby lay down too, pressing his side against Ethan's legs. "The soldiers are gone. You're safe again." Riley was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke. "Thank you, Ethan. You kept your promise. You saved me. But you also saved them from something they can't understand. That means more to me than you know." Ethan felt tears in his eyes. He wiped them away, embarrassed. "I wish there was a way to let you out. It doesn't seem fair for you to stay in there forever." Riley's voice was calm. "I chose this. I knew what it would mean. I made mistakes long ago. This is how I can make them right. But your kindness has helped me. I'm not as lonely anymore." Ethan looked at the desert, thinking about all Riley had lost. "If you ever want to talk, I'll be here. You're not alone." Maria came over, carrying her pack. She looked at Ethan. "I have to go back to town, Ethan. People will ask questions. I'll tell them nothing is here. It's better if nobody comes out this way." Ethan nodded. "Thank you, Maria, for everything." Maria smiled. "You're a good man, Ethan. Take care of yourself." She got in her buggy and drove away, leaving a cloud of dust behind her. Ethan watched until she was gone, then turned back to the crate. He spent the day working to hide the crate even better. He used his tools to cover it with more sand, making it look like a small hill. He set up metal scraps and old junk around the area, so anyone passing by would think it was just another pile of useless trash. Toby helped by digging and barking whenever Ethan missed a spot. That night, as the stars came out, Ethan sat by the fire and talked to Riley. He told her stories about his childhood, about Earth and green trees and rain. Riley listened quietly, sometimes laughing at his jokes, and sometimes asking questions about things she could only remember in dreams. Ethan realized he liked talking to Riley. She was smart and kind. Even though he had never seen her face, he thought of her as a real friend. A few days passed. The desert was peaceful again. No more soldiers came, and no other salvagers showed up. Ethan felt safer. He thought about what to do next. He could stay here forever, but he knew he might have to leave someday. One evening, Riley spoke to him while he watched the sunset. "Ethan, I have a favor to ask." "Anything," Ethan said. "If someone else comes and tries to open the crate, you must promise to stop them, just like you did before. But if someday you feel it is safe, if you trust the person and know the world is ready, you can tell them my story. Maybe one day, someone will find a way to let me out safely." Ethan nodded. "I promise. I'll keep your secret, and I'll wait for the right time." Riley's voice was full of hope. "Thank you, Ethan. You are a good person. I will always remember you." As the days turned into weeks, Ethan made a quiet life beside the crate. He went to town sometimes for supplies, but never told anyone the truth about what he had found. When people asked why he stayed in the desert, he only smiled and said he liked the peace and quiet. At night, he sat by his small fire with Toby by his side and talked to Riley. They told each other stories about lost worlds and second chances. Sometimes when Ethan felt sad or lonely, Riley's voice cheered him up. Other times when Riley felt afraid, Ethan reminded her she was not alone. The seasons changed. The wind brought colder nights. One evening, while Ethan watched the sky, he saw a shooting star. He wished for Riley to be free one day, to see the world again. He did not know if wishes worked, but it made him feel better. One morning, Ethan found a small box at the edge of camp. It was old and rusty. Inside, he found a tiny carved figure, a bird with its wings open. He brought it to the crate and held it up. "Look what I found, Riley. It's a sign of hope. Maybe things can get better." Riley's voice was soft. "It's beautiful, Ethan. Thank you for showing me." Ethan placed the bird on top of the sand pile above the crate. He decided to make it a marker, so he would always remember where the crate was hidden. Time passed slowly. But Ethan never felt alone again. He had Toby and Riley. They were a small family, keeping each other safe. Sometimes, at night, Ethan would dream of a day when the galaxy was safe and Riley could walk free under the stars. He dreamed of a world where no one needed to hide from weapons or war, and everyone could have a second chance. He knew that day might never come, but he would protect Riley's secret as long as he lived. He would tell her stories, laugh with her, and make sure she was never lonely again. Years later, people sometimes wondered about the quiet man in the desert with his old dog and his strange habits. They said he was searching for something, but no one ever found out what it was. Only Ethan and Toby knew the truth. And Riley, deep inside her crate, always remembered the boy who listened, who cared, and who kept his promise. And so, in the endless sand, a secret slept, safe and silent, watched over by a kind heart waiting for a better day.